Sammy scheming, shadows in the night. Cali caught in headlights, no end in sight. Across the party, buzzing vibes going wild. Sanctuary whispers, traps set so vile. Hatchback lurks sinister like a ghost. Seatbelt tightening, no more coast. Men in the dark, plans in their eyes. Abduction business, truce in disguise. Silent waters, honor in the quiet. Secrets keep burning, riot through the night. In the hatch, the lake waits cold. Whispers turn to silence, stories untold. Cali's fear, sonnet of despair. Sanctuary walls got ears everywhere. Ghostly figures moving in the mist. Cali's fate sealed with Sandy's twist. Rustle in the reeds, secrets they protect. Loyalty and silence, never disrespect. Lake mirror skies, keeping truths deep. Honest price, the oath they keep. Headlights off, shadows reclaim the dark. Cali's fate obscured, vanished like a spark. Whispers of the river, nights grow still. Secrets buried deeper, till the lake fulfills.
What's good, y'all? We're back. Alright, so it was bothering me with that SF thingy where he goes on this next panel. Like, he did a lot of panel hopping as well. I want to listen to what he says real closely, you know? I think it's something rabbit hole, something. I don't know. I don't remember the name of the channel that I got this from. I don't know if it's still up. I don't know if it's deleted. I don't know what it is. All I know is I have it, and he says some interesting stuff, so I figure we listen to that while I play some video games, you know? And then I want to go and watch other videos until he gets home. Once he gets home, then I'm out, yo. Alright, y'all. I'm gonna have to mute myself because it will, it'll echo. So when I want to comment, I'll be back.
You so much for agreeing to talk to me. Number one, I appreciate you to start, right? So for everybody that doesn't know, this is Mr. Steve Fisher. Okay, he runs the Twitter account SF Investigates. I heard a little bit about your background when you did the interview with the Glare. So I kind of got a good gist of your background, what you've done. I guess I'd like to start by saying, or at least asking, the minute that you posted AWP's Jared's court stuff, what led you to that point?
So I I was involved as a searcher for Kylie Rodney up in Truckee, and of course Adventures with Purpose is the group that found her. I kind of got tied up in that, which I didn't want to, because of the whole way the notification process worked with notifying her family. And I happened to be with her father and her grandfather at the time. So I really got kind of thrown into the mix on that. And then it created a whole separate story. But and from that, there was a lot of chatter on Twitter, and there was a lot of like accusations and whatnot against me. And a couple days after the recovery, I got I had a journalist contact me and say, I know you're getting a ton of heat on.
Hold up, what journalist? What journalist contacted you? This is weird. This is a very weird conversation. Let's keep going though. I'm gonna rewind it a tiny bit.
The recovery, I got I had a journalist contact me and say, I know you're getting a ton of heat online because, people think that you're lying about being with the father and the grandfather. And they said, I just want to let you know, you might want to look into a case in Utah involving Jared, that may be involving Jared. And then they said that it had to do with um, SA crimes.
This dude's slimy as fuck, dude.
Um, Involving Jared, and that may be involving Jared, and then they said that it had to do with, SA crimes, and that was about it. And so I started looking around, and of course, you're not going to find anything like that until there's something charged, or when they're investigating, they're not going to look into it. However, I did a bunch of searches and I did some sweeps on the courts and stuff there, and then I ran across some posts on Reddit from this person that was making these accusations against Jared, claiming to be a family member. So I had seen those, and they there were some that dated back quite a ways. There were some that were in a private Facebook group that I had seen a few of, and so I just monitored it. It was not something I was
He's
going
all
to
up in the drama.
disclose
See?
at all, because my whole thing is, I'm not here. Everybody thinks I'm here to take down AWP. I am not. I just want the truth when it comes to situations like this, because we're dealing with families that have lost a loved one. We can't be playing games with those people, and the truth is super important, and that was not happening in this case. I mean, it's still not. I still know outright lies.
Does he ever think that maybe like this shit is happening because of him?
And families that have lost a loved one. We can't be playing games with those people, and the truth is super important, and that was not happening in this case. I mean, it's still not. I still know outright lies, and so anyway, I was monitoring this, but it's not something I was going to come out with, because it's just an accusation at that point. Anybody can put anything on Reddit. I did not reach out to that person that was posting it or anything like that. However, I set up, through LexisNexis and some other systems, I set up sweeps to go through the courts and just, ping me if his name pops up. And sure enough, charging documents came down the other morning, and there they were. I was shocked. I did not think anything was gonna come of that. Those posts. I was shocked.
Steve, so then a reporter called you and gave you a hint that this was going on.
It was a journalist that had been monitoring. I don't even know. I don't think they've even written on the Kylie Rodney situation, but they were monitoring it, and I think that they've had some involvement with AWP in the past, and they just said, "Hey, I know you're getting thrown under the bus, and it's brutal what's going on right now." And what they originally said was, they had heard that the reason Jared was not in Truckee for the Kylie Rodney situation is because he was either meeting with or in some sort of negotiations with prosecutors in Utah. And then they just gave me that small amount of information. Of course, you can't start calling prosecutors, but I did then find the Reddit posts, and the Reddit posts were getting deleted, but I just happened to catch it at a time, and then they would pop up every once in a while. The cousin would come back, and from what I understand, then there was a lockdown Facebook group of that had some posts too, and so every once in a while they would trickle out, but then they would disappear. So and this was in
Hi, Miranda. How you doing, honey?
AWP subreddit. I'm not real super familiar with Reddit, but I think they're called subreddits, but they would get deleted too. So I knew somebody was monitoring those, and I don't.
He pretends pretends stupid, I don't
know if AWP is the one who actually sets those subreddits up or not, but so I just watched it. I didn't pursue it at all, besides putting some alerts in on sweeps with the court systems, and it just happened to go off, unfortunately.
Bringing it up to Twitter, right? What was your thought process behind just saying,
well,
I gotta put this up here?
Yeah, so that was, first of all, very unpopular with a lot of people on Twitter, as I think most people know, which is fine because, like there's nothing out there that I've lied about or given bad information on, like, and I try to like lead people the right direction. I disclosed the fire cameras and, like when I found it and everything. And so people can accuse me of that. But however, I was nervous about putting it out because I was like, this is going to look like I'm trying to torpedo AWP or pile on, which I'm not. But, AWP has tripped themselves up with these lies. I have known since 2 days after the recovery that Nick, the tow truck driver, is false. It's just a marketing story. And, it's frustrating to have this information.
How can he say that information is just false? See, he's part of the problem. Let's continue.
And have people coming up with these wild stories still to this day. And however, I was like, do I,
you, sir?
go back at this again and get all these, crazy DMs and stuff? But, I had to. That was a serious, those are, that victim, because right now, as far as charging goes, there's only, one victim right now. I know there's other accusations, but as far as probable cause goes, there's only one person right now.
Bro, he was
And
so
That's
quick
what I
to put
wanted
Jared's
to clear
dirt
up
out
because
there,
people
wasn't
think
he?
that Jessica is the actual.
Those people didn't, I'm certainly not going to disclose her name, but so she, Cheska, who has come out, who is Jared's sister, with serious allegations. Those are just allegations right now. Those have not been. So yeah, people should not confuse that. Cheska is not what there's probable.
Yeah, because I try to be careful with that. But
yeah.
Are they aware about
About it? I have, had a conversation, and
How does him putting all this shit out there have anything to do with Kylie Rodney? See what I'm saying? This dude is a dirtbag.
But I haven't talked to them about this part, but I can only imagine, like, they've been put through a lot of pain by people. There's some people that said some really hateful stuff, especially against the mother. And, they got to realize that, everybody grieves differently. Just because they're not doing it to appease everybody on Twitter doesn't mean that they're, have something to do with her death. But now on top of that, which a lot of that was caused by these false narratives that were put out by AWP.
Bro, he's talking about false narratives being put out. He's the one that accused Jagger. He's the one that accused Sammy, all in the very beginning. Now he's trying to say that Nick Tow Truck Dude is nothing but fake information. I think somewhere in here he's willing to bet $1 million on it. I would love to get Nick Giovanni $1 million if he would just provide proof that he worked for this AAA company or his GPS. That would be awesome.
Jagger and about
he could take this shit to court.
Tow truck guy and whatnot. But now on top of that, their last memory is their daughter was recovered by somebody that's accused of 2 counts of SA against a child. So
he really just tried to lump all of AWP. First off, SF, Jared wasn't there. Jared wasn't there, that he was dealing with these obligations in Utah. So how dare you lump these gentlemen that separated themselves from AWP? He just lumped them all in it. This dude makes me sick. Anyway, we're gonna rewind now and listen to it again.
Just because they're not doing it to appease everybody on Twitter doesn't mean that they're, have something to do with her death. But now on top of that, which a lot of that was caused by these false narratives that were put out by AWP, about Jagger and about tow truck guy and whatnot. But now on top of that, their last memory is their daughter was recovered by somebody that's accused of 2 counts of SA against a child. So the organization, I understand he was not there. But
yeah. Steve, are you saying that just to be clear, and you don't have to answer this, it's completely up to you. Are you saying that tow truck driver guy?
Yeah, clarify yourself.
The documentary is not real? Is he an actor?
From the documentary. Oh yeah, from the. So I don't know if he's an actor. I do think that he probably was employed by AAA. We had been told at the
Did
recovery
he
site
just say that he
AAA.
was? Dude.
Truck driver guy?
He
From
just said
the
that he
documentary.
wasn't. So, which is it,
It's
Steve?
not real? Is he an actor?
From the documentary. Oh yeah, from the. So I don't know if he's an actor. I do think that he probably was employed by AAA. We had been told at the recovery site that he was AAA. Even though they refer to him as the roadside assistance guy, but it was AAA, and I think he probably.
I really hope this wasn't the detective that
I've been tracking him to a couple different jobs.
got a hold of Nick.
I don't think. So I don't think he was an actor, but 100%, I know he didn't run across Kyle.
Oh yeah, Christine, I'll whip me up. I chop up all my garlic. I mince it. I start frying that in a little bit of coconut oil in a pan, and then I add in my greens, which is mostly spinach. Then I just barely cook that, and then I crack 2 eggs on top of it, cook that through. I add my greens, more greens to it, then I add a little bit of beet, ginger, turmeric, pepper, a little bit of other herbs and stuff like that, oregano, stuff like that. And then yeah, I just fry it up, flip it over, and put it on a plate, chop it all up, and eat that shit up. I even cleaned my freaking bathroom sink. Alright, give me a second, I'll get this plate again. Alright, let me mute myself and get this playing.
Jagger or Kylie?
Or Jagger, but definitely not. I mean, neither one of them. I mean, Jagger 100% can be placed in Napa, where he lives now, or he did before. Kind of missing at his dad's, and Kylie went, unfortunately, tragically, went in the water Friday night, well, or very early Saturday morning, by 1 a.m.
And it's crazy because he's the one that made accusations on Jagger very early on. And I understand stories change, people can be proven innocent, and I'm glad to see that he's telling people that Jagger's innocent. But he should have also been accountable by accusing him from the jump.
So it's just, I don't know what he saw out there. I have a feeling I kind of know where the story was born from, because there was another sighting.
No, I didn't plant
right
Kelly
after
yet.
she went missing up at Boca, and some people knew about that. AWP was told about that by law enforcement, just as private background, and I have a feeling that was kind of exploited. They built something upon some real leads, but those were checked out by the FBI. And keep in mind, when Nick, the tow truck driver Nick, came out and said that this was all on video and everything. Listen, the FBI were there within hours to retrieve that video, and because they had no problem getting warrants. There was a judge signing warrants for cell towers and everything like that. They had that information immediately, and if Jagger had been seen on camera in town, he would have been locked up for lying to the FBI, because by that time he had already had multiple interviews. But there was,
What about Sammy though, SF?
Just because the FBI doesn't say anything, people should be able to kind of read. Like, it doesn't take them that long, to figure this stuff out. And especially when it's going to be like AAA, who's going to comply. And now, I hear yesterday, they're trying to resurrect this story that Nick is 1,000% sure and he bet $1 million. First of all, I'll tell Nick, I will take that $1 million bet. I honestly will. If he means it, I will bet the $1 million.
See right here, he bets $1 million that Nick didn't see shit. See? Nick, you should take him up on this bet in court. You get $1 million from this man.
It doesn't take them that long, to figure this stuff out. And especially when it's going to be like AAA, who's going to comply. And now, I hear yesterday, they're trying to resurrect this story that Nick is 1,000% sure and he bet $1 million. So first of all, I'll tell Nick, I will take that $1 million bet. I honestly will. If he means it, I will bet $1 million right here. You did not see her Saturday. But you know, so they're trying to resurrect the story. But the thing is that he's not. Why isn't he providing even a screenshot from his? He says that he's got GPS on his phone showing who's there. Let's see that screenshot. Let's see the dispatch text he gets from AAA saying go to Boca because there's a broken down car.
Let's see it.
Kylie nor Jagger have AAA. Let's see something. Let's hear his voice. You know, like why? This isn't that hard to do. You know, his girlfriend. Was she there or not there? Because you know, I've heard, you know, conflicting things, and we have been told that he started shooting video on his personal cell phone because he was so concerned about the female. That's what Doug told us. So there's all this, but he can't come up with anything. You know.
You invited those conversations though with AWP. I do remember you saying that in the Glares interview. You said, you know, I reached out to them via email. You were, I remember the Glare said, I'm willing to drop a link if anybody wants to clear this situation up because of the inconsistencies as far as information goes. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. And so this is only the third show I've ever done because I don't do them. A lot of people say I'm a cloud chaser, but I did the Glare. And
it's some type of dysfunction. Yes. Good morning, Brandy. How you doing, honey? Afternoon.
Then right after the Glare, I went on Zav's live because Ryan Upchurch was on there, firing off on all kinds of stuff about the family.
See, and here's where he admits, after he just said on Twitter, X, the other day, that he doesn't go on panels, that was his very first one on the Sebastian Rogers case. But here you go. Listen how many different panels he admits to being on right here. It's great. It's good stuff.
Same with Cloud Chaser, but I did the Glare, and then right after the Glare, I went on Zav's live because Ryan Upchurch was on there, firing off on all kinds of stuff about the family and crazy theories that she was fake and that car magically, you know, flew from Boca to Prosser, and so I got on there just to be like, you know, this is crazy, you know, and then you're the third. So I don't do a lot of these. I'm not looking at it, but I did before I ever did even a single show. Before I did the Glare, Grizzly True Crime had asked me.
So we've got Zav, the Glarer, Grizzly, this Alex Rabbit. So that's 4 right there, okay? But
if I wanted to come on, that was right when Check It TV had found the laptop and everything in the water. So she said she asked us to be on, and then she wanted to get AWP involved, and then but AWP, which I was like, great, let's do that because let's just work these things out. Like, let's get the story straight so everybody knows there's no lying. You know what I mean? Like, so everybody knows that there's not this big conspiracy. Because people think I'm like trying to like fix it for like I have the ability to like, you know.
Why does he overtell people stuff? You see what I'm saying? It's almost like he's admitting to being fucking shady as shit.
Everybody knows there's no lying. You know what I mean? Like, so everybody knows that there's not this big conspiracy. Because people think I'm like trying to like fix it for like I have the ability to like, you know, cover things up. But they told her we will not appear if Steve's on the program, and they've told that to every host. They're like, if Steve's gonna be there, we will not appear. They won't do it. They simply won't. Their only thing that they replied to me at the end was that we don't reply to any drama. They said that by email.
What?
So it's like it's not drama. It's just like let's work this out because you know you're saying because then they started you know when Jared started doing interviews then it turned into then they confirm that the mail was confirmed. He said that on Zav to Ryan when you know Ryan's like and but then we hear so the mail was confirmed, but then it sounds like yesterday when that supposed interview with Nick Totor came out, it sounds like he confirmed the female but not the male, so it's all very confusing. But I'd like to know where this comes from, and I'd like to know.
Yeah, that's right. He was on
why
CNY. He was on so many different
they're
panels. This
saying they
lying ass
notified law enforcement.
bastard.
They never notified law enforcement that they found Kylie. The law enforcement heard about it how we heard about it on Facebook. You know, they found her much early. You know, I was notified at 2:48. That's when I told her father and her grandfather. But it had come out on Facebook about 30 minutes earlier, or 25 minutes or something like that. And that's when I got a call from somebody that saw it. And that was so say it's like 2:15 or so. Well, they had found her hours earlier. You know, what were they doing all that time? Because in the press conference the next day, they say at 10:30 this morning, we launched the boats. At 11:15, we confirmed we had a vehicle. Well, what were you doing between 11:15 and 2:15? You know, like, what they were doing was they were shooting a lot of video underwater. And I know that because they had it there. And I saw parts of it. And, you know, I also saw, and that's the other thing. It makes me furious when they're throwing these things out there to make it sound like she was not clothed and she was strapped down. They had video of her. They knew that was not true. They knew that was false. They should have just said, no, that's, you know, that was not the case. But when they said, can you tell us if she was clothed? We don't want to jeopardize the investigation.
Well, they came out of the water saying,
but
it's
there's
foul
no proof
play.
of what he's
So-
even saying.
Murder.
and they released that without an investigative authority, without anybody saying that's what the case is.
Yep.
We know 100%. Okay.
Very frustrating because, you know, this family, although they kind of live off the grid, you know, they had become connected because of Kylie missing. They actually went out and bought a bunch of hotspots and stuff like that, and they're seeing this stuff. You know, like I mean, I talked to her grandfather almost daily, I would say, and still, and like, they're just devastated. They see this and they're like, why, like, like, you gotta understand, this is not like some true crime, you know, video game or whatever. This is a real person. This is a real family that lost their daughter, and these accusations.
What's crazy is how he tries to go back on after all that he just said. That this is about a missing girl and and the family and stuff around her. Meanwhile, he just smeared how many people, caused how much drama in all he just said. And then he has the nerve to say this isn't a game. I mean, he's still running games on fucking Sebastian Rogers' name. That's why I absolutely refuse. I'll keep saying that little boy's name. But I refuse to cover the case because it's just what they've done to it. They've done enough with Kylie Rodney's case. And then seeing what's going on around him, around Sebastian's case, man. He needs to be investigated.
Almost daily, I would say, and still, and like, they're just devastated. They see this and they're like, why, like, like, you gotta understand this.
And here's the thing with this is, like, he has to be the one taking this stuff back to the family. Otherwise, this family isn't getting online and watching all these videos. Like, that's what people fail to realize, is this family lives off grid. The only reason why they were online while their granddaughter and daughter were missing is through hotspots. Like, they specifically got one just so that they could interact with people. And then that media wall between the mom and AWP, shit's crazy. This dude makes me sick, man. He really does.
Not like some true crime, you know, video game or whatever. This is a real person. This is a real family that lost their daughter, and these accusations where people are just like, oh, the mom did it, or the mom should feel bad about this and that. People don't know the whole story. People don't know. There's still stuff that the family's gonna hold back, but. You know, people are talking about, oh, she shouldn't have been driving after 11.
This all coming from a guy that won't address the picture,
maybe maybe there was other plans, but, you know, there are things that the public doesn't know, and they just kind of, like, it's just to call somebody a murderer. And then, you know, Sammy, like, listen, I agree. Sammy, I don't know why in the world she was out front, like, saying, bring all the leads to me, bring out, you know, like, now that ended up being okay because the FBI did some trickery, let's say, ended up working in their favor. But because she was holding those meetings in a privately owned trailer, and if that person gives permission to do certain things, it's, you know, so, you know, they had controlled the situation, but to say, you know, to accuse Sammy still of Sammy being a murderer and Jagger being a murderer, and Jagger clearly is, I mean, there is all of his cell phone data, there's so much, there's surveillance, everything putting him in Napa. The car, like I thought when I said about the fire cam that,
Man, he just said a whole mouthful.
I just really thought that would kind of knock down. So it did.
Oh yeah, he's definitely all over the place. He has a train of thought like fucking Megan Cole. But he says a lot. If you pay attention, he says a lot. A lot.
I mean, Jagger clearly is, I mean, there is all of his cell phone data. There's so much, there's surveillance, everything putting him in Napa. The car, like I thought when I said about the fire cam that you could see the car unfortunately go under water. I just really thought that would kind of knock down. So it did knock down some of them, but I mean, there's still a lot of people out there that think that car somehow magically, like the phone was dropped in Prosser, the car went up to Boca, they partied all night. The next day they just kill her for no reason, and then somehow they fly the car back to Prosser and drop it in the water right where they put the phone. Just the whole thing makes no sense, you know. It's like, and on top of that, and we get off the kind of thing. There's like,
See, this man is to blame for why they didn't investigate it properly. Do you hear what he's saying right here? And he calls himself a private investigator. For what? It sure isn't for this victim.
For what? Like what? Like kill her for what reason? You know, there's nothing. I mean, there's no motive. There's nothing. It's like, it does not make sense. And you know, there's an event data recorder which people have not seen. You know, which people will.
See, right here is what's crazy. How this man is trying to imply that he saw the event data recorder information. Meanwhile, CHP's telling us that it was destroyed. So just listen to what he says right here. Okay? And this is the reason why I think he needs looked into. And this case needs reopened. He's part of the reason why they didn't investigate it properly.
For what? Like what? Like kill her for what reason? You know, there's nothing. There's no motive. There's nothing. It's like, it does not make sense. And
jealous bitches kill their friends all the time. Just saying.
You know, which people will. I mean, they are going to release a highly redacted version of the crash report. It will be coming out. And there's like, for what? Like what? Like kill her for what reason? You know, there's nothing. There's no motive. There's nothing. It's like, it does not make sense. And you know, there's an event data recorder which people have not seen. You know, which people will. I mean, they are going to release a highly redacted version of the crash report. It will be coming out.
See what he just said right there?
But there's a lot of other data people haven't seen that, you know, so.
For sure. So, you know, and not to take away from the fact that they found her, right? Mm-hmm. However they conducted themselves, they found her, and I don't think that was. I think what people are struggling with is that idea that, okay, here's how do you process that?
That's a tough one, because listen, I don't take away from for a minute, but they do great work. I mean, like, they do provide a lot of closure for what, 24, 25 families now. They're very good at what they do. I will say law enforcement should have found that car. I mean, that was the most screwed up investigation that has been I've ever seen. You know, it was so poorly done. And that car, I watched the divers, literally they had to be within feet of her. Like, they're floating over the top of where the car ended up being, you know, and how they missed it, I'll never know that. But I don't think it was. It was not intentional. They're just not that good at sonar, I guess. But but then so they are very good at what they do. But then to have this, like, it's just like it's horrible
This dude's
because
a pair of clown shoes.
like I said, it kind of puts a stain on all those 25 people. They're always going to be tied to that. Online, you ever Google one of these deceased people's names, it's gonna be attached on Google to a story about AWP, which is be attached to a story about Jared with these sex crimes, and it's just not, and I feel sorry for those guys if they truly did not know about these charges, which I don't understand how I knew about it and they didn't. But if they did not know, I feel sorry for them because that same thing is going to happen to these guys, is that they're always going to be the guys from AWP.
Well, but if the guy who's always on the camera, right, or in front of media, which to go meet with prosecutors.
It was told when I was there, but just so people know, I was really not familiar with the Veteran Corpus before this. I had heard their name, but I hadn't watched a single one of their videos. But I knew they had a good reputation, and when their first names first started getting kicked around about possibly coming out to Truckee, because they were like in Wisconsin or somewhere, like and they were far away. In the store that I'm in, some people I work with, people were familiar with them, and I found out they had a great reputation for finding people, but something, that the case had got a lot of attention by then, and there was a reason that they left there and came all the way back to the West Coast for this case, and it's because they knew this and the Julissa Fuentes case were heating,
I'd love for him to explain what he was doing when he said, skirt, oh, let's go to Truckee. What were you doing, SF? Who were you taking pictures of? What job were you on your way to go take care of when you abruptly stopped and decided, oh, we better go to Truckee? Sitting here telling everybody else's business, but he don't tell the truth on himself.
We're becoming big. Reason that they left there and came all the way back to the West Coast for this case, and it's because they knew this and the Julissa Fuentes case were heating, were becoming big names. And listen, which I don't fault them for at all. It's good publicity for them, which they need, and but yeah, so why wasn't the guy who is, because Jared is AWP. I know it put Doug out there, but Jared is. He's the founder. He's the front man. He's he's everything. I think he has ultimate. In fact, he lists himself as the creative director online. So and I think he does have creative control over all the edits and everything like that. So he is the guy. Why wasn't he there? It makes sense to me now that the charges have dropped. He probably was negotiating with prosecutors, because when you're a target of an indictment, they do notify you 90% of the time. Prosecutors will tell you or your attorney that you are a target of an indictment, and I don't think this didn't go in front of a grand jury, but it's the same process. They'll tell them, especially since the charges are so old. They probably interviewed him already. I would not be surprised if what they were doing was interviewing him and getting inside of the story, so.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about what you released this morning as far as Twitter? Because you released a couple things.
So they were really just kind of procedural things. So yesterday, his attorney essentially filed with the court, notifying the court that he was the attorney of record. It's an attorney, criminal defense attorney out of Utah, and he did file a motion with an order to appear via WebEx, which is like we're doing now, remotely, and the judge did sign the order this morning, so she's allowing that. However, he still has.
He really just said a mouthful, didn't he, Outdoorsy?
Has to be booked at the jail and fingerprinted and go through the whole booking process. Then he'll be released, and so it shows in the in his initial charging documents that he has to do that by 8 a.m. on the 30th. So he can do it, I think, anytime before this. So I imagine that what they're trying to do is make sure there's no cameras to get any photos of him going in and out of the court. And so what they've done is they've set it up for remote, and he will.
He's still
may
out
have
here
already by
telling
now,
a
but he'll
fucking
fly
Jared's
in and out,
business.
probably Utah, go and be.
This is
surrender,
not how a
be booked,
private investigator
and leave,
acts.
and
I'm
that way nobody
sorry,
catches
it's
him on
not.
camera. There's no questions, stuff like that. That's my guess. So he filed those, and then they just filed a motion with the state to turn over all the discovery, which just means all the evidence that the state has, which could be interviews with people, it could be emails, it could be text messages, whatever it could be. They have to give Jared's side a copy of everything, so they know what they're, each side has to disclose all the information that they have. So
The public only knows about this
But
email.
this man don't
We
get
know
involved in
what
no
else they
drama.
might
He's just
have
all gossip, bro.
on him.
This is terrible.
yeah, I don't think there's any chance that they're going just off that email. I mean, yes, there is somewhat of a confession in there, but I guarantee they have more. They definitely have a very long statement from the cousin, because she said so, I think, on your show, right? Like, she said that she had talked, in fact,
I'm
she
gonna
said
skip
she
through
met with
some of this.
Nevada prosecutors as well, but then she said that she had an interview with Utah and or got a warrant for those emails. So for that email server, they probably have got a lot, I would say, because listen, they're gonna have a tough time, even with that confession, because of the age of it. Because I guarantee the first thing they're gonna do is fight the statute of limitations. Even though they waived that in 2017, there is something in there that says if a case before 2017, if the crime happened before 2017, you really go off the old statutes, unless you did not know who the person committing the crime was after they changed the statute. So there is like this weird, as soon as he's arraigned, I would imagine that it'll all be procedural, but
A couple states.
he's gotten off with a lot of it, but still he was items on his criminal report, which I think makes it about 20 individuals. Some of them are when they're pleaded down and whatnot. But from 90,
See all the shit he's putting out there? This ain't nobody's business.
From 88 to not those, I will say, he got dismissed or he got out of. A lot of these things they just don't prosecute. But he did. I know on the weapons one, it looked like he was. It said that he was convicted and sentenced. I have not been able to get the sentencing information now. Hopefully I'll get that soon.
Some people will say, you know what? The 90s was probably a crazy time for this guy, right? And maybe AWP was a way in which he sought redemption from all this stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, time, if it wasn't, if it was a victimless crime, I could maybe see that argument, but there's a victim here. And starting AWP and finding recovered bodies is not what the court sentenced you to. You still, we don't get to choose our own sentences, we don't get to say, hey, listen, I did this wrong, I'll make it better on my own. Everybody's still got to go through the process. And listen, it's not just about punishing the person, it's about helping the victim get through this, knowing that you have to be accountable for it, or we're gonna hold you somewhat accountable. Never makes it right at all, but you don't get the skirt that just because you kept it quiet for that many years. Listen, she was 9 years old, and people are like, innocent to proven guilty. Listen, there's probable cause here. So the probable cause, once the probable cause is established, and there's a probable cause statement, then you can treat that defendant as if they are guilty. That's how we have the ability to hold people in jail or hold them on bail. We can do that because there's probable cause, and we can now assume that they are guilty. However, to be convicted and sentenced, a jury you have to reach that burden of beyond reasonable or abundance of evidence. So, you can't let, just because 30 years have passed, so what? She was not. This woman is not doing this because she's got a thing. She's doing this because she's been suffering for 30 years, and she's been pursuing because.
Said, okay, the one named on the
Mhm.
paperwork said that she just wanted him to walk to jail and make a confession. That's what she said she
From
wanted.
what I believe she said on your show that I heard her, and from what I read in
My
the emails,
game is glitching like this, man. I can't
no,
do this
this
drama
is
talk.
strictly what he did, not him saying, "Dude, there's no." This is, I mean, 9 years old, and the fact that people are on Twitter and on YouTube and are making donation. So I was under the
Back. What do you feel about that?
I don't know about that because he won't. It's kind of bizarre because I was under the impression that Ryan had not paid the reward, but he's not calling it a reward. He keeps calling it a donation. So, and then there was.
Did you just hear what he just said?
And saying that Jared is the victim.
I heard.
I
It's
mean,
disgusting.
don't get where that comes from. It's such. I mean, it just defeats these women that are victimized even more.
About that.
I don't know about that because he won't. It's kind of bizarre because I was under the impression that Ryan had not paid the reward, but he's not calling it a reward. He keeps calling it a donation. So, and then there was that, because at first, remember, he came out, he was like blasting AWP, and then all of a sudden Jared appeared on the same thing, and then they were buddies, and then he was going to do a song for them, and now we find out there's been a
He sounds
donation
fucking jealous and
personal
butthurt.
account. I have a feeling it might be more of a business transaction, but I think more will come
Did
out
you
about that
hear?
probably.
He's throwing accusations right there.
Yeah. I found that.
I have a feeling it might be more of a business transaction, but I think more will come out about that. There's been a donation to his personal account. I have a feeling it might be more of a business transaction, but I think more will come out about that probably.
Yeah. I found that to be because I mean there was a Hellcat.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that didn't happen.
What?
I mean, yeah.
I think he said it, a Hellcat or 100,000.
Something like
or
that.
even do 100,000 if they didn't want the car, which right, frankly, I would do too because you have to go through selling the car. But so I don't know. And
Does he not know that he donated 100,000 to AWP and gave Doug Bishop the Hellcat? He honored his word. And here's this man. Did you hear the undertone of him saying it? Maybe there was more payments. Excuse me, what? What are you insinuating?
And listen, that's Ryan's prerogative. He wants to invest $100,000 in AWP. Listen, I'm not. It's fine. I do. Listen.
Listen, Linda. He's trying to say that this ain't none of his business while putting all this business out there. Let's hear it again.
Yeah. I found that to be because I mean there was a Hellcat.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that didn't happen.
What?
I mean, yeah.
I think he said it, a Hellcat or 100,000.
Something like
Talk
that.
about misinformation.
Right, frankly, I would do too because you have to go through selling the car. But so I don't know. And listen, that's Ryan's prerogative. He wants to.
Did he just say under his breath something about the granddad selling a car? Hold on.
Cat.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that didn't happen.
What?
I mean, yeah.
I think he said it, a Hellcat or 100,000.
Something like
or
that.
even do 100,000 if they didn't want the car, which right, frankly, I would do too because you have to go through selling the car. But so I don't know. And listen, that's Ryan's prerogative. He wants to invest $100,000 in AWP. Listen, I'm not. It's fine. I do. Listen, Ryan has said horrible stuff about me and horrible stuff about the family and about a lot of people. I never even heard of the guy before this case, but and he owes a lot of apologies to people. However,
He said he owes apologies to people. What about you, Steven?
I never even heard of the guy before this case, but and he owes a lot of apologies to people. However, if he wants to invest, that's fine. I think he was caught off guard I don't think, I think this shocked him. I think he is genuinely pissed. I do believe him. Where he's like,
You see how much he cares about Kylie Rodney? Right
you
here.
know, and
This
so
whole
I'm
thing
not saying that
explains
he's
how much he cares about her.
endorsing Jared at all. I think he was genuinely pissed. But
This is what
we'll
Steven
see.
cares about.
We'll
Drama
see.
and money.
And I think he's either too rich
and
to
reputation.
apologize or too rich to care. I'm like, that's the attitude at least he gives off to
Yeah,
we the
yeah.
people
I don't
over
know.
here.
Hopefully he'll come around. I'd just like to see him in some way apologize to the family. I know that they were especially hurt by the "she's not real" comment. You know, even though there's been some really horrible stuff said, like, oh, the mom murder or stuff, what really got them was the "she's not real."
Yeah, that's disgusting to have said that about someone's child, and then this tragedy as well. Tell me what you think about Doug's Bishop's statement.
Yeah. So again, I don't want to sound like I'm piling on or I have this personal thing against them, but
He don't want to sound like it, but he's going to be about it right now. You see this? This is insane, dude. This dude makes me fucking sick.
I just I don't know if Doug knew or not. I find it hard to believe, like I said earlier, that I knew, but these guys didn't, because AWP really is a tech company. You know, they're divers, but it's really a tech company. They're running a
Dude,
YouTube
if you're
channel,
diddling
their
little
website
kids, the
is
last thing that
creating
you're
a
going to do is tell your
tremendous amount of cash
coworkers.
flow.
You
It's all
know,
about searching. If you look through
you
Jared's
keep shit like that a
personal
secret.
website, it's all about search
These
engine
men didn't know.
optimization, marketing. So these guys are really connected online, and they monitor the subreddits and stuff like that. I just got to believe that they do. But let's say they don't, and Doug didn't know. That
They don't
video,
look.
it was all about him.
He thinks that these men that are their focus is to go out and help families and look for vehicles and dive in water. You think they're spending their time in subreddits looking for drama on their own teammates? No, no, no. That's what you do, Steven. That's what you do, Mr. Drama. This is terrible. This is terrible how he can just insinuate all this shit and then finger points at everybody else. Meanwhile, this man hasn't been accountable for a damn thing that he's said or done on numerous panels. Terrible. What up, Bex? This interview is when he was on Down the Rabbit Hole News. The title is Exposing Adventure with Purpose, an exclusive interview with SF Investigates. But she must have edited this because it's a re-upload without commentary. I don't know. I have no idea.
It was about, like, how this is affecting him and the other guys, and like he, you know, he's gonna lose this, but what about, he never said anything about the victims. Like, I hope these victims.
He's going to go on and on and on and on and on about victims, and not once here did he talk about any solid information about Kylie Rodney. It's been nothing but drama for the past, 40 fucking minutes. Yikes, this dude. He is a fucking pair of clown shoes, yes.
Justice. I hope that, like, he pays for he said he didn't condone it, but I mean, he didn't say anything to victims. He didn't say, I'm sorry for what you're going through. I can't believe, this happening. It's just like, and how it was affecting them for 30 years. It was like, I don't know. So I had a heart, and again, it's going to sound like I just hate AWP, which, I just don't understand how they're just can be so insensitive. But again, I've seen it.
It's not them being insensitive. It's they're not the ones that took part in Jared's deed. So they did the best professional thing possible and separated themselves from an alleged pedo. Like, where's he not grasping? It's not Doug's place to make a statement. It's not Nick's place to make a statement, just like it's not your place, SF, to be putting all this bullshit drama out there. And then you blame other people for the shit that you've done. Ugh. This dude makes me fucking sick.
With Kylie's family too, did what they did to Kylie's family, so I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but You know, it's the same.
What about what you did to Kylie's family? Misleading them with information, then taking all this drama bullshit to them. When you should have been taking things like, as soon as that picture dropped, you should have been taking that to law enforcement. You should have been taking this to the family saying, look, how does this picture possibly exist? If these teens that were at this party, if these young adults that were at this party are claiming that she drove into the water, then a picture like this of your daughter or your granddaughter should not exist. Why don't we pursue this as a possible homicide? He did none of that. He needed to double down on them fire cams that little blob of light was somehow Kylie, but there's no proof. No proof of whose vehicle that was, whether it turned around. Because there are no tire tracks going into that water. There are no deep ruts going into that water. Shit, there's no water in Kylie Rodney's lungs. This man makes me sick.
Same pattern.
There wasn't a whole lot of care for that whole case, in my opinion. I feel like they were pretty, and this is just me. I don't take away the crown of having found her and all that other stuff, but it was pretty reckless to it, especially that time gap. I almost wonder, and it's like, let's get our footage, and that's how they're conditioned.
I love how these two motherfuckers are tearing AWP apart, but yet have they said anything about the used up 20,000 hours and how they were right above Kylie multiple times, multiple overlooking of this search area? Yet AWPs who found her in 35 minutes? This is fucking strange. This is really strange how... This is really strange. This is strange. It's strange that they're not calling out the investigation. They're not calling out possible prime suspects. They're not calling out the picture. They're not calling out the sleepy picture. They're not calling out any of the actual evidence. But they're going to call out AWP. If it wasn't for AWP, Kylie Rodney wouldn't have been found until that water drained from that lake.
To kind of, like, they do great work, but maybe they were so conditioned to work on a YouTube channel because that's where they get their income.
Because they were holding it almost like, hey, you know, we've got this like shocking
I'm gonna let this dumbass play while I grab a cup of coffee.
And like, wait till you hear the conversation with the dad and grandpa. I know everything that was said there. I was there, so it's like. I also, you know, but it would bring a lot of things to the surface if they just release all the footage. You know, let's see what Nick had to say for the rest of it. Let's hear what they told us at the crash site, what Nick said, and you know, release it. And they said they would.
This man's one rib short of sucking his own dick.
They won't. And like I've talked, the people that they said that they called for the notification, I've talked to those people. You know, like I know the truth, and it's really frustrating. But now we've seen this pattern. Because it wouldn't be that hard for them to just say, yeah, you know what,
let's talk about patterns.
We should have called. You know, people are like, oh, they didn't have the numbers, and why didn't the family give them the right numbers? The family didn't know. Nobody knew what day everybody heard that they were coming like Sunday night.
Because there was a media wall around this family. You even admitted to that. This dude makes me sick. He can't even keep his fucking shit straight.
And it's really frustrating. But now we've seen this pattern. Because it wouldn't be that hard for them to just say, yeah, you know what, we messed up. We should have called. You know, people are like, oh, they didn't have the numbers, and why didn't the family give them the right numbers? The family.
I'm pausing that right there where he says that, because look at this, okay? Hold up. This is what's crazy to me. Where the fuck's this at? This is August 11th. Hold on. Let me find it. I know I have it. Where he makes this bullshit ass statement. Mm. Is this it? All right, so right here it says, more than 2 hours after we were at the recovery site, law enforcement still had not contacted her mother. See? That's whose fault it is, right there. What you posted right here on the 21st. It's not AWP's responsibility to contact the family, and they still reached out to what family members they could, because there's a statement here that you even admit that there was a media wall around the family. Hold on. Let me find it, because I know the statement was from him. We just looked at it on my last live, matter of fact. Oh shit, see, he's trying to say about right here about the fire cams. And this person even says back, but it does not show who is driving the vehicle or how many people were in the vehicle. Exactly. Hold on. I know I have a statement somewhere. Man, just refer to my last live, because I had it on there. I just don't know where the hell I put it. Anyway, he makes the statement. It's terrible, dude.
No, nobody knew what day they were. Everybody heard that they were coming like Sunday night, and then all of a sudden Thursday night they appear in town because they said they left early, and so they weren't telling anybody where they were at or anything, and so, and they weren't, I don't know how they got the other two family members' numbers. The family doesn't know either, but the family had a trailer, the volunteer center set up basically at the entrance to the property. You had to drive by the trailer, and their phone numbers, the family's phone numbers, were on a whiteboard on the side of the trailer. Like everybody was supposed to check in at the trailer anyways. That's how I met the family, just by going and checking in as a volunteer.
I think, what's so interesting is when you have, like, especially in government agencies, right? Mm-hmm. When there is either a mishandling of money or something happens, somebody's death, there's a real thorough, typically an audit of what happens. And I kind of wonder whether the work that they do is audited that way. Like, from the time, like, what does that even look like, right? Because if you think about, we're taking in the whole YouTube community, it's a whole community here, right? And they're YouTubers, they have a YouTube channel, and they release some of this information out here. And we have taken a lot of what they say as, like, Bible, as truth, given that they're doing God's work, so to speak, right?
Just like we're supposed to do the same thing with these. But I'm just wondering what regulation or what regulates any of that.
Well, as a private search group, I don't think there is any actual, they should have internal, checks and balances. But one thing I will say is that it's not just AWP, that, like, people think that I'm, like, involved in this cover up with the sheriff's department. People are saying I'm CIA. It's crazy. But this has been...
Steve. We're going to say I'm CIA too, because we're interviewing. Great.
People are like, you are the worst private investigator ever. You don't know a thing. And then they go and say he's CIA and he orchestrated this whole elaborate cover up. Like, which is it? But anyway, law enforcement, this has been, I've never seen a shit show like this before. I mean, this is a horrible investigation. I mean, first of all, when I found the fire camera, I was furious. Because they should have known, first of all, that they have an app for the fire camera that any first responder, police, firefighters, paramedics, can download to their phone. That app has the ability to zoom the camera in and all kinds of shit. So they should have known the
See?
day after she went missing, and they knew she was at that party in Prosser. They should have pulled that. How? First of all, when I found the fire camera, I was furious. I was furious because they should have known. First of all, that they have an app for the fire camera that any first responder, police, firefighters, paramedics can download to their phone. That app has the ability to zoom the camera in and all kinds of shit. So they should have known the day after she went missing. They knew she was at
That's
that
why
party in
they
Prosser.
turned it away, you
They
dumb
should have pulled
fuck.
the fire cam footage. They would have seen what happened. And she should have been found within 12 hours. There shouldn't have been a search for Kylie. And the fact that, 2.5 months later, it took to, before.
This man doesn't realize she wasn't in the water yet. That's why they didn't see her.
But so and then AWP comes in, they find her, and I know they mapped the bottom, I think, for 4 hours.
That's what I'm saying, Liberty. He is more focused on the drama works around AWP over, I don't know if it's his own butt hurt or if he's just doing his slimy ass routine like he does everywhere he goes. Yeah, it's crazy how he's trying, do you listen how many people he's trying to discredit here? It's not only just AWP. He tries to discredit the fucking Nick the tow truck guy, which I'm balanced on the fence because I don't know. There's more proof leaning to he is telling the truth than it is he lying. This guy gives me a fucking stomach ache.
Hours, and then they went in and they found her after 30 minutes of being in the water. That, obviously, law enforcement was embarrassed by that, but you know what? So what they did is they shut down even further, which is...
Well, and that's the thing, is law enforcement shouldn't have been embarrassed. They should have, at that moment, when they realized they put that many thousands of man hours into it and they didn't find a car, that should have dawned on them. That maybe somebody close to this case, that's following this case, knew exactly when a good time would be to put a car in water. But these people just want to keep blowing it off as a conspiracy theory where, their evidence does not prove shit. All it proves is a blob of light was near water. That's it. That's all his proof. And his case solving, which is weird because he says in the very beginning of this discussion that he was there as a searcher. So why are you telling people that you were a hired investigator from the beginning of this case when you weren't?
And they've gone completely silent, which I wouldn't be that pissed about if they were really keeping even.
And the funniest part about it is how he's saying he solved Kylie Rodney's case and takes the credit away from all of law enforcement and all that shit. It's crazy to me how this man sucks his own dick all day long.
Family and stuff involved, but I know that, they have been, keeping them informed to an extent, but it's just the whole investigation was so screwed up, and it continues to be, because people are was it open? Is it closed? Why there's no press conference? So it's just been a horrible. So there should be a lot of accountability there, and that is something that I think that needs to go up the ladder, and that this investigation needs to be investigated. Absolutely. It's been
right.
It's been horrible, and it's caused a lot of suffering on the family. That most of that lies on law enforcement, and now I get that they're not used to these size, but this type of investigation, they are smaller
talks in fucking circles and shit.
Well, because they had 6 agencies involved total, right?
No,
there
44,
so
ma'am.
And those.
All this misinformation, and yet we're the ones misinforming people. Only 6 agencies. Get fucked.
Most of that lies on law enforcement, and now I get that they're not used to these size, for this type of investigation. You know, they are smaller departments and stuff.
I'm gonna go
but-
potty. I'll be
Well,
right
because they
back.
had
I'm gonna let
6
this play out.
agencies involved total,
Well,
right?
There you go. So you got the FBI, yeah, and those were all involved. Now, some of them most of them had paired way back by the time she was found, including the FBI. They didn't have that many agents left there. They had 40 originally, I think. I think they were down to like 3 or 4. Some obviously came back, but there's no reason, like, but once they figured out that it wasn't a crime, like after she'd been recovered, you know, within a week or so, some of those agencies had closed their investigations. And like Prosser, the day she was found, they closed theirs because they just had a missing person investigation. So, and she was found in Nevada County. So Nevada became the lead agency. CHP, I know that that investigation is like, congressional investigation is like done, but they have to redact the report. And I do think I believe they are going to release that highly redacted report here soon. But yeah, it's been I don't know. It's really a shame, but
This just goes to show what he pays attention to, because if he was actually paying attention to Kylie Rodney, he would know that there's 44 agencies, not 6. Because this is at the point of after Jared and after AWP split up. So he should know the number of agencies that responded to Kylie Rodney's case. This is why he fucked Kylie Rodney's case up, is what he did.
it was handled poorly. And
he's doing the same on
Sheriff
Sebastian's.
using a strategy, Moon or whatever her name is, using a strategy of just going silent. And I believe they are going to release that highly redacted report here soon. But yeah, this
is what's strange, okay? Is he goes on saying about the EDR thingy, like almost like he's seen it himself. And then he goes on here how they're going to release this report. Well, sir, I'd like to know if you did see an EDR thingy. And I would love for you to talk about it under oath in front of a judge. That would be nice.
It's been I don't know. It's really a shame, but it was handled poorly. And the sheriff using the strategy of Moon or whatever her name is, using the strategy of just going silent is not the way to do it. You know, she should just get out in front of it and be like, yeah, there's a lot of agencies to handle, and you know, it's a learning process, I guess, or something. But it was not done. It was not done well. So
there was that clip that I sent you by Exploring with Nug.
That this is not fabricated. And on top of that, I have to click on.
Well, I mean, yeah. So we knew Jared had essentially
back on
confessed to
AWP.
this.
What
If
about
that
Kylie,
was
sir?
Jared, and Jared replies back something. If I could, my official statement is the email.
What do you think
Oh,
about
God.
like in now information's coming out about his wife knowing? What do you think about that?
That's
It's not something I could wrap my head around. Because
probably
I just
shouldn't be
have
making
never
them
been
statements, ma'am.
I mean, I see a lot of because and then the only other area that I do this work in is domestic violence cases. So I've seen a lot, but nothing. I can't wrap my head around that. Like with the family, it's not from what Jared says in his emails. His daughters know. You know, he's had.
Yeah.
I don't accountable. You know, so how that I don't know. It's so now you've just created these deep secrets within this family. It seems like that really aren't that secret, but
Bro, if I
but
was
they
Jared,
are.
I'd
It's
sue
something they
this
got with. I'm
motherfucker.
sure it's got to bother his daughters. I mean, it's got to be horrible to. You know, I know Jared tries to blame it on like this family culture.
This man goes on to talk about, oh, it's good to protect victims. Meanwhile, he's victimizing his wife, his daughters, putting all their information out there. He's claiming that Jared was involved in a DV against his wife. That's what he just said here.
Has something to do-
Mormonism or something
Maybe.
like that.
What's that?
He tried to blame it on Mormonism.
Yeah, the LDS or something like that. You know, still, I think I don't know. Like, and the thing is there's probably a lot of answers out there in there families, backgrounds, and stuff. But I'm just not going to dig. It's not my investigation. In like
Bro,
it takes away from
after he sat here and just spewed all this gossip and slander. Now he says he's not gonna get into all of it after he already just got into all of it. This dude makes me want to puke.
families, backgrounds, and stuff. But I'm just not going to dig. It's not my investigation. In like it takes away from helping some missing people. I mean, it's tempting. Don't get me wrong, but it's like for what purpose?
52 minutes and he still ain't talking about actual victims.
I think they're going through enough, right?
They're going through enough. I'm not trying to like kill AWP. I hope those guys, if the guys did not know about this, I hope that they move on, thrive. I think that their non-competes and their NDAs are void because Jared failed on his duty to perform on his end, and because of laws in Oregon regarding non-competes. But as long as they didn't know, I was not trying to kill AWP at all, but this is something that
this dude lying.
Give a free pass on. I mean, multiple times. And listen, he's charged with 2 counts of this, but it happened more times. There was times that it happened in Nevada but Nevada has a statute of limitations.
Didn't he just say he wasn't going to get into the details of it, but then he just rehashed the details of it? I fucking can't stand this dude.
I don't know how it, what, I mean, I don't think so.
He's going to, no, I think he's going to have to plead. Like, it would be, for the details to be on the record of this particular crime are going to be so horrendous. There's just no way. And, keep in mind, like, he's a target right now. I mean, as everybody knows in the prison communities, these are the people that are the trophies, to go after, the pedophiles. And he's going to be, if he's found guilty, if they don't find a technicality, which they very well could, he could walk from this. But
and isn't it rumored this man takes pictures of?
So he'll have to notify his neighbors. He'll be on the registry.
Women, girls.
He travels to another state. He's got to check in.
Isn't that what it's alleged?
Where he's staying. It's going to make it. He's not going to be going back doing AWP, and that's why these guys. I don't think they could ever. If they didn't know, I hope they go off and start their own deal or whatever. But
what did he do? He claims he solved the case by matching a blob of light to a cell phone being hard shut off. Like, it never crossed his mind that that's not Kylie driving. That might not even be her car. And then that's somebody pulling close to the water to throw a phone in water or discard of a phone, that it seems like that's what the search team was looking for all this time.
They can't be AWP because AWP is always going to be attached to sex offender guy, Jared,
Why do you think he didn't address this head on, like any of it?
I think arrogant. I think he just thought he's bulletproof.
I think you're arrogant.
He figured
I think
he's
you're a
bringing
prick.
tons of cash, and he has 3 million people online. Which,
oh, God.
For anybody that's been in those crosshairs.
He sounds really jealous.
Which I've experienced some of. He has an army of people he can unleash on you, and they will, and they did. And I think he thought, hey, listen, I'm kind of untouchable. And he probably thought the statute of limitations lapsed. And
he's clearly not untouchable if he went through the court system. You see what I'm saying? Not condoning or condemning or any of why I'm condemning what he did. But
in the DA's office.
He's faced justice.
If it happened now, it's never going to happen. But if you have that in your past and you haven't dealt with it, it can come up anytime.
It will. It will. Any of it. Even these weapon charges that I think people could have been like, all right, cool, rough life. He did talk about a rough life in his.
He probably feels that as the provider in his family, as far as his daughters and his wife go, he probably is like,
I love how this man is speaking for Jared. You see what I'm saying?
I just don't get the how that conversation goes without talking about.
That's what I'm saying, TV. I can't listen to him anymore. I've had enough. All right, let's close this live on something Kylie based. I've been revisiting Charlotte Green Truth Seeker, and I've also been revisiting Illuminated Mind. Let's see. I want something that's a little bit... Oh, we'll do 150 photos of Kylie Rodney in under 3 minutes. Let's do that. I'll close it out with that, and then I'm gonna hop off of here. Hold on one second. Let me adjust the tinger for it, because I don't know if she uses I don't know where the edge of that is. Seems like it's like right about there. Something like that. I can't see the edge of this.
You're driving me crazy.
Alright, let's do this. And then I'm gonna hop off here. Alright, I'm gonna mute myself.
It's just us in this world. Nobody can change that. Hey, we gon' fuck up in this world, and we can't change that. Stay up all night, you and me. When I'm with you, I feel free. Stay up all night, you and me. When I'm with you, I feel free. Consider now that justice will be found in time. Rest knowing that we'll figure out the puzzle that you left behind. I think you're gonna find when you look down you'll shine. And you had birthday 17 among the stars.
Thank you all for being here. I gotta hop off. My son is on his way home. God bless everybody. Have a blessed Sunday.